Welcome to HB Reddit Stories. Today we will see stories of r/am I the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for not including my friends that didn't pitch in for a birthday gift? I swiped my credit card on a $700 birthday gift and asked 5 friends to each pitch in $100 and I'll cover the rest. I gave them 30 days, due 2 weeks before the birthday, to get the money together. They all agreed. Edit, we agreed on pitching in before I bought it. 2 told me they couldn't pay me on time but would pay me before the birthday. I told them if you don't I'll have to cover the difference and say it was from me and the other friends. Come the day of the birthday, both didn't pay. I said out of good faith, can you at least give me a portion? They both said they couldn't. This meant I am covering $400 of the $700 of the gift. I wrote on the gift package from me, friend 1, friend 2, friend 3. The other 2 were upset because I didn't put their name but they said they would have paid me back after the birthday. I told them that's BS because you were blowing off money on dumb stuff, alcohol, Pokemon cards, grass, etc., all month when you could have paid me back. Am I the a-hole here? Top comments. Not the a-hole. You will never get the dollar back. Smart move. Next time just give a gift by yourself and spend what you want. OP replies. Yeah, it sucks to be out $400 but this friend has been there for me in really bad times. Not concerned about the money, just the main reason for the post. Did they all agree to this before you swiped your card? Who are you buying a birthday gift for that $700? Did you all have a sit down and agree to this before you paid for it? Or you just presented it to everyone that this is what you are doing? Next story. Am I the a-hole for excluding my brother from my wedding because of his fun facts? I have an older brother David, 41. David has boundary issues and was in the learning disabled classes. My parents never let him out of the home. He has a very rough personality and because he was never allowed to work or do anything, so in his 40s he doesn't have friends. He still dominates the conversation at every holiday with fun facts and goes off on those and doesn't realize no one is listening. My other siblings and I just really don't like David because my parents let him do whatever and just dominate whatever social settings we are in. My older sister eloped because of David being my mom kept trying to find David a place at her wedding. I'm getting married to Mel, and my youngest brother Nick is my best man. My sister who is close to Mel is in the bridal party. Her husband is one of my best men and their son is a ring bearer. My wife wants a real wedding and not be forced to elope like my sister did. David has no place. He's not going to be invited because the first thing he did was insult the ring I got my Mel was his fun facts about how diamonds are worthless and do not resell well. I should have got her a second-hand engagement ring or a colored stone engagement ring. We then got a history on engagement rings and marriage tradition. We tried shutting him up but he wouldn't and my mom said let the professor talk. Even at 40 she thinks my brother fun facts are cute. This put a hard no on Mel's stance that my brother can't come to the wedding. If my parents defend him even once, they are not coming. She not having not wedding like my sister and it's time for David to be put in his place. Mom called and asked about wedding planning and I told her she wasn't involved after what happened to my sister wedding dress shopping. Mom brought David who told everyone his fun facts about wedding dress history. That's when my sister decided to elope. I told Mom if she and Dad wanted to come to the wedding as guests they can but David isn't invited. Mom didn't talk for a while. I think she started crying because my dad took over the phone call. I told him what upset Mom and said David isn't invited and Mom can't be trusted to be involved in wedding planning without David tagging along. Dad said he doesn't understand why we all hate David and I told him what is wrong with his fun facts and my dad said, the boy likes to talk and there's no harm in it. I told my dad that's the thing, there is harm in David's fun facts and now no one wants to be around him. Dad started arguing saying stuff in defense of David and I told Dad we are at a stalemate and I guess all 3 of you won't be coming to the wedding. I'm sorry but that is how it is. I ended the conversation with my dad and my mom has been upset texting like a crazy person to everybody about how we all need to understand David. What I'm doing is mean. Mel feels like this whole thing is why I can't invite David or my parents. I agree that they can't even be trusted to come to my wedding without sneaking David in. Top comments. Mom took David to the wedding dress shopping. I would have walked out the moment I saw him. Not the a-hole. Opie replies. Mel was there and she said it was awful for my sister. They cut the day short. My mom got mad at my sister saying, David said he wanted to come, and that was supposed to make it okay. Sigh. Your brother is showing every sign of being smack in the middle of the autism spectrum, and your parents responded by clutching to anything they could to preserve their sense of normalcy. He's just a talker, let the professor talk, he doesn't mean any harm, he'll be hurt if he's the only one left out. Without giving his siblings any semblance of an education about the neurological pattern your brother was born with, or any skills for setting boundaries and not taking his speech patterns personally. Then your mom went mama bear and is even more prone to feeling the sting of leaving him out than he is. I highly doubt he cared about not being invited dress shopping. Don't respond to fire with fire, just keep some firm boundaries. Mel's, if they defend him even once they aren't coming, is unhelpful. They're going to defend him because that's what they do. But you deserve useful boundaries, not wild escalation. Continue to plan the wedding without inviting them to group events. Keep things like dress shopping and cake tasting off social media. You've got a challenging family situation, so don't inflame it. Hire a security guard for the wedding now so you both can relax and know that you won't have to worry about David. Just you, meet with your parents and explain that David won't be able to come to the wedding because he doesn't have the social skills to be successful there, and that you'll have a security guard escorting out any drop-ins. Tell your mom and dad that you'd love to have them come, but that they need to decide if they're okay with this being a parents-only invite. Acknowledge the weirdness right up front. I know you have a hard time going to events he's not invited to, and I know you wish we were all closer, but we're not. That's sad, but that's the way it is, and I want you to take some time to think about it. We'd really love to have both of you if you feel like you'd be able to come. And I know you're going to want to go mama bear and fight this decision, so I want to say ahead of time that I'll be muting any texts or chats where you try to argue this. Prepare for what they call an extinction burst. Your mom is going to call/text/chat her brains out to try to get you to change your mind. Remind her once that it's not up for discussion and that you'll be muting the texts and chats anytime she brings it up. Prepare to do so about 100 times. If she enlists any other family members to pressure you, use the same technique. Tell them once that it's not up for discussion and that you'll be muting the text/chat every time they bring it up, then prepare to do so about 100 times. De-escalate your fiancé. Encourage her to mute your family between now and the wedding and let you handle all of this. She should mute them on social media channels and mute them on text. It should help her relax to see you setting boundaries. In the meantime, ask her to read an article on understanding people with autism. It will help all of you to take this less personally if you understand the neurological pattern your brother was born with. Not the a-hole, but this is going to take some rewinding. You've got a 30+ year family pattern that will take some time to unwind. Not the a-hole. Let's be clear. It isn't David's fun facts or that he likes to talk that is the core problem, it is that every gathering becomes about him and only him. That there isn't room for anyone else to say, do, or feel anything themselves, and any joy you and your siblings might have in being together is killed dead by his behavior. You will not let him suck all the joy out of your wedding. It isn't David's fault. It is his parents' fault. Tell them that. Info: has David been diagnosed with anything? Opie replies. My parents and David are delusional about the situation. My parents said the schools did not get or understand my brother. It has been left at that. Info: is David incapable of making decisions for himself? The way you talk about him in this story, he could be replaced by your mom having an annoying yappy dog that no one likes. Is it not possible to discuss his behavior with him directly? He's in his 40s and is clearly capable of communicating to some degree. Opie replies. He gets very upset if you try to argue with him. He's not really capable of a two-way conversation. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my sister's kids stay with me after she canceled on me last minute? So, my 29M sister, 32F, has 3 kids, 10, 7, 5. Last month, she asked me if I could watch them for a weekend while she and her husband went on a short anniversary trip. I agreed because I love my nieces and nephew, but I made it clear that I needed at least 2 weeks' notice because I work long hours, and I'd have to rearrange my schedule. Fast forward to this past week. I asked my boss for time off, cleared my weekend, and stocked my house with everything the kids would need. Friday afternoon rolls around, and I'm waiting for her to drop them off. Suddenly, I get a text from her saying they're not coming. She decided last minute that they were going to a family-friendly resort instead and didn't need me to watch them anymore. No apology, just, we'll do it another time. I was frustrated because I had completely cleared my weekend, turned down plans with friends, and rearranged my work schedule for this. I responded by telling her it wasn't cool to cancel on me last minute like that, especially when I went out of my way to help. Then, 2 days later, she called me again asking if I could watch the kids the following weekend. Apparently, something came up with her original plan, and she needed someone to watch them after all. I told her no, I wasn't available. She got upset and said I was being selfish and punishing her kids for something that wasn't their fault. Now she's mad at me, and my parents are saying I should be more understanding because things come up when you're a parent. I don't have kids, but I feel like it's just basic respect to not cancel on someone last minute and then expect them to be available whenever you want. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to watch my sister's kids after she canceled on me last minute? Edit. Wow, I didn't expect so many not the a-hole responses. Thanks, everyone. I was starting to feel guilty about standing my ground, but it's good to hear that others agree it's important to set boundaries, even with family. I love my nieces and nephew, but my time is valuable too, and I'm glad I'm not being unreasonable here. Thanks again for all the support. Top comments. Not the a-hole, just tell them you cannot rearrange your schedule back to back like this, and you told her you need at least 2 weeks, so she already knew that chances were very unlikely. Her trying to guilt you is in poor taste. Additionally, just because your sister was inconsiderate and you are now saying no, this does not mean you are punishing the kids. I'd probably emphasize that point the most. Instead of having her ask for a weekend for you to babysit, you could ask for a weekend to take them in the future for a makeup weekend for bonding. Take control of when you see them instead of relying on your flaky sister. Next story. Am I the a-hole because my dirty coworker got fired after I stopped giving him a ride to work? So, I've been getting some flack at work because a well-liked coworker of ours got fired for repeated absences after I stopped giving him a ride to work. As background, I'm an active-duty military mid-level healthcare provider and he was an entry-level civilian contractor. We both worked at a large military hospital. Earlier this year, John, 20M, who recently started working at the hospital, was asking around our department for people he could carpool with. Everyone gave various reasons why they couldn't help, and eventually I volunteered because he lived nearby and it wouldn't be out of my way to pick him up. I will preface this by noting John was very well liked in our department, with most of the older ladies adopting him as their work son, etc. He's also the youngest employee by almost a decade. This issues started about 1 month in when I noticed every morning after I picked him up, he would bring various food products to eat on the drive to work. This didn't bother me at first, but as time went on he was leaving food trash and crumbs in my vehicle. I'm an extremely clean individual, so this bothered me and I said something. He continued eating, and kept forgetting to clean after himself. I was getting tired of constantly reminding him to take his trash with him, and I started just throwing the trash away myself. After doing this a few times, I decided to just leave the trash, and see if he would notice. He didn't. For weeks the empty water bottles, Red Bull cans, candy wrappers and empty containers started to pile up in by passenger door and floorboard, and stayed until I asked him politely, "Could you take that trash with you?" His response of, "Yeah, of course, I don't mind," made me feel like he thought it was mine and I was asking for a favor. There's more examples, but to keep things short, I gave him an ultimatum: he needed to clean up after himself and respect my car, or he would need to find another ride to work. Not even a week later, he was eating some type of meal with flaky crackers and it was spilling on his lap the entire ride to work. When we pulled into the parking garage, he dusted all the food crumbs from his lap onto my carpet. We left the car and went to work. After work, when I returned to my car, there were ants inside of my vehicle. I had enough. So I made up an excuse, and told him I couldn't give him rides. He took it well, and the ride stopped. But over the next few weeks, his tardiness started to pile up. His agency fired him in September. We are not privy to contractors' personnel issues, but everyone assumes he was fired for being chronically late. Fast forward to today, while on break, I overheard some folks saying he was fired because I stopped giving him a ride to work and that was selfish of me, etc. I never told anyone except him why I stopped, and I'm assuming he told them some half-baked truth, and because he was well-liked, I know they believe him. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Firstly, you aren't obligated to give him lifts anyway, and he's a grown-but man. Either he's responsible and gets to work on time, or he gets fired. Secondly, he's being disrespectful. Plain and simple. Is it his car? No. So he can listen to you and pick up the damn litter he leaves everywhere. Thirdly, everyone's giving you crap for not giving him lifts, but did they step in and help? No. They didn't. The hypocrites can be quiet. Not the a-hole. OP replies. That's the part that bothers me the most. The same people that are upset he got fired, never once volunteered to give him a ride. Even the 2 weeks I was on vacation, he took an Uber to work. I feel like I have a target on my back. Not the a-hole. Being blatantly disrespectful even after you confronted him is not cool. He was disrespecting your personal space, and I don't think it's selfish to want to make the issue stop by refusing rides. Was there a reason why he couldn't drive himself or use public transportation? Not that it matters, but if he really wanted the job he could have found other ways to get to work. It's not your fault he got fired, it's his fault for screwing up and disrespecting you and your space, then not being an adult and finding the resources he needed to get to work. OP replies. We live in a semi-metropolitan area where public transportation is not the best. It's either you drive or walk to work. When he got hired, he used to have a car, but it was shared with him and his ex-girlfriend. When she moved out, she took the car. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my mother my own birth certificate, SS card, and passport back? When I moved out of my mom's house, I took my birth certificate, social security card and passport. The passport I've had paid like $200 for recently. I asked her if she had my high school diploma and if I could have it so I could get back into school. She said that she would look, but she got really mad that I had my own birth certificate, social security card and passport and said that they aren't mine legally. They are, and I told her that she says that I can get a copy but I can't have the originals and I need to give them back. I told her no, she's more than welcome to get a copy, but as for the originals, they are mine. She doesn't need them unless she's trying to do fraudulent stuff. I told her if she can get me a copy that's fine, but I will not pay for it. I heard it's a tricky process and I don't want to do that because I have the originals anyway. To sum it up, I ended up telling her I'm not going to give you my birth certificate, social security card and passport, especially the passport, since I paid for it, because she has no necessity or legal right to it. Top comments. Not the a-hole. You didn't say your age, but it sounds like you are an adult, in which case there is no reason why your mom would need any of those things, and there are plenty of reasons you should have them. If you want to travel, you will need your passport, etc. Not sure if she is trying to pull something shady or is just weird, but they belong to you and there's no reason that she should have them or needs them, or your diploma. OP replies. I'm 20 and have lived on my own since I was 18. If you're old enough to move out, those documents are yours to keep. Why does she want them so badly? OP replies. I'm not a psychologist by any means, but I suspect my mother to be a covert narcissist, which would mean that she sees me as an extension of herself, and not an autonomous being, and so some reason she thinks that she has a right to all of my things. Other than that, I have no clue, unless she's trying to do fraudulent things. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.